joined now by the retail expert Martin Newman, who's worked in multiple companies across the sector. Martin, very striking in both cases. They're citing the move from physical bricks and mortar stores to online.
Well, terrible news, Ian. I mean, we're talking about 5,300 jobs potentially going, and obviously the implications for all of those families. I'm not 100% convinced it only comes down to a shift online, and I think that both of those businesses have been planning cuts for a while, but nonetheless, it's obviously indicative of the difficulty they've had over recent months while we've been in lockdown and we simply haven't been spending as much as we used to.
Among the closures announced by Boots, some 48 Boots opticians outlets are closing. Is that particular part of the market very competitive?
It's a massively competitive market, but it's also going to be very interesting to see how that's handled from a sort of COVID perspective in terms of, you know, how can you continue to test people's eyes and make them feel safe in that environment. So I think it's a combination of competition plus fewer people coming into the store, and obviously social distancing, meaning they can only allow a small number of customers into the store at any one time.
The irony is that Boots was thought to be having a reasonably good lockdown crisis. Obviously, as a pharmacist, they've had a lot of footfall to their stores, which some of their competitors might not have.
Yeah, listen, it's really surprising in that context, but you know, I believe their sales have been north of 40% down over the last 3 months. So, despite the fact that most of their stores have remained open, they've obviously had a significant hit to sales. And again, I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that not many people can come into the stores at any one time. Plus, it's a category that doesn't necessarily lend itself to online as well as others, such as grocery, for example.
And Martin, one of the John Lewis stores that won't be reopening is the flagship store in Birmingham's Bullring Centre. I mean, that is not only embarrassing for Andy Street, the West Midlands mayor, who opened it when he was at JLP. It's also a big blow for the Bullring Centre itself, losing an anchor tenant like that, isn't it?
It's terrible. I mean, it's terrible for Birmingham as a city, losing a department store like John Lewis. I mean, I've been to that store a number of times in Grand Central, and it's fantastic. It's a great customer experience. And I was really, really surprised when I heard the news, to tell you the honest truth, because I think out of all of their stores, it's got to be their #1 store, at least in terms of the range, the range architecture and the customer experience. It's brilliant. So very surprising.
Now, Sharon White at JL has pointed out that the department store sales have gone from 40% online this year to more likely 60 to 70%. On that basis, would you expect to see John Lewis shutting more stores over the fullness of time?
Well, I personally think, I really do believe that the spike in e-commerce sales is going to flatten after a while. Prior to the pandemic, it was 20% of all retail sales online. Currently, it's obviously, you know, more than double that. I think it's going to level off at 25%, but to the John Lewis model, they already had 40% of sales online. Might it grow to 50%? Possibly. Look at a business like Selfridges, fantastic business. They have 4 stores and a brilliant online business, and maybe that's the model that John Lewis ends up working towards over time.